Today's Open Group webinar, which today is about how to get the most from TOGAF using True for TOGAF. I'm very pleased to say that we have two excellent presenters today. We have Bill Casson, who's CTO of True, and we also have Chris Ford, a VP Architecture from the Open Group. Before I pass over to our first speaker, Chris, I would just like to cover off a few housekeeping issues. I thoroughly encourage you to answer questions during this event. To ask questions, the best way to do that is using the text facilities right hand of the screen. You can either use the chat facility or the QA facility. If you're submitting questions, it's probably best to address them to all attendees. That way you get to see the questions being asked. We handle questions at the end of the event, so we'll keep an eye on questions and then answer them at the end. I think that's everything. The event is planned to last about an hour. That will be about 45 minutes of presentations and demo, and then 15 to 10 minutes of questions. With that covered, I'd like to hand over to our first presenter, who is Chris Ford, VP of Enterprise at the Open Group. Chris, please take it away.
This is some good morning, evening, late night, wherever your time zone may have you. I'll briefly take you through an overview of the Open Group and a short question about the architecture forum, and then hand over to Bill for the primary context for this webinar. What you'll be able to see right now is my contact information at the Open Group. I'm based in Shanghai, China, so for the cell number, if you want to make a note of it, you need to stick a +86 on the front of that to reach me internationally outside of the People's Republic. Okay. Excuse me. Next slide is the Open Group's vision, which deals with boundaryless information flow. This is an interoperability view of things with security and reliability in the frame, along with timeliness. And it doesn't mean that there are no boundaries, but that there are permanent boundaries where we want them to be in place in order to enable business. It calls out that agility is a critical success factor for this vision. So information in an integrated manner to the right people at the right time is the key point around this vision. So important. Well, the stake here from a survey respondents to this question. Has really said that there were many hundreds of millions of US dollars in most cases, or euros, in opportunities where information sharing or a lack of it put a company's ability to perform or put their companies at risk, and that spent a great deal of money on making their systems interoperate or to recover from mistakes regarding interoperability. And there are not only financial issues at stake here, but really human at stake in certain types of critical infrastructure and delivery systems. So what is the Open Group? It's a member-driven global consortium, suppliers, customers, and academia that come together. There are 350 member enterprises, approximately, that continues to increase, but there are 31 headquarters doing different countries for these companies. Over the collaboration activities that go on within the Open Group, 20,000 people across 80 countries are engaged with the various forums, developing standards and developing product. As I said before, it's a member-driven organization. And what here is the current global footprint of the Open Group, both staffed and partner organizations in these locations. And we just recently added Sweden, Bina from Sweden as a partner, and they are holding a conference in the 30th and December 1st this year in Stockholm. So what we're trying to do, suppliers, customers, and academics, is advance the achievement of business objectives through standards. So what's the membership here? Primarily marketable products and services, both from a supplier and a customer standpoint, and the ability to intermingle in a vendor-neutral environment, getting information, influencing direction from an industry perspective, getting insight and knowledge about what's going on. There's a lot of networking that goes on here and relationship building in terms of verticals within industries. So, for example, the minerals and mining vertical that we have within the consortium, IT functions, business functions. There's a lot of cross-pollination organizations on a personal and professional basis here. So it's an excellent place to be plugged into in terms of enterprise architecture and other dimensions such as cloud currently. Okay. From the perspective, what the membership comes to the Open Group to do revolves around working groups at the board level, such as certifications and the business forum currently. Also working groups around business architecture, cloud, semantic interoperability, and so on. Consortia, where the Open Group's census process and secretariat functions are used for security dimensions such as Jericho and U.S. government functions that are sort of listed here in terms of using the manner in which the Open Group rapidly manages the development and deployment of standards and consensus is a service that we provide. There are forums such as the Mining and Metals and Minerals Forum that I mentioned there, and then there are the more typical forums that people tend to know, such as the Architecture Forum, where the TOGAF specification is managed and delivered, the Archimate Forum, Identity Management, it's not quite correct, Private Embedded Systems and Security Forums. Okay. As I mentioned before, the Architecture Forum is the place where the Open Group's architecture framework, TOGAF, that specification is managed and delivered. The vision for the Architecture Forum is to be recognized as the leading global enterprise architecture organization. The mission is advancing boundaryless information flow with a focus on architectural aspects of delivering on that vision, and those dimensions include providing broad and deep leadership to the architecture community on its path to becoming a professional. Now, to be clear here, the members are providing this leadership. It's not necessarily staff like myself on the Open Group organizational payroll that are doing that, although I play a role. It's really member companies like True and others that are providing that leadership. It's a member-driven organization. We validate, publish, and foster and maintain best practices for architecture and develop, organize, and research, publish through thought leaders on leadership in architecture. So you'll find a lot of white papers available, and the content eventually migrates as best practice into the framework itself. You'll see a number of programs and working groups initiated through forum activities to support and drive towards those that vision and mission. The framework itself, we position that as a comprehensive set of control to enable design, evaluation, implementation for the right architecture for an enterprise. Now, of course, that's a loaded statement, but that's the intent. That's the slide that I have to kind of position the Open, the Architecture Forum. One of the things that we do is certify tools, and True is one of the tools that is certified by the forum, and by the group, I should say. And the activity going on currently where we are modeling the current text format of 9.0, and Bill and myself both are, if not our hands into the detail of that, and I'm hoping that by mentioning this to you that we are move to a model-based approach to the specification, that will pique the interest of the folks that are on the call here. Now, work going on in this area that is only visible to the members because it's still internal. But I just want to get that out there so that you have some sense of the kinds of things that are going on in the forum. And then now hand over to Bill to take us through the rest of the content here.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to go through the protocol here of getting my desktop shared and hopefully everything up and running quickly here. My name is Bill Kaysen. I'm the CTO here at True Technologies, and I've been with the company for more than 7 years now. And I've seen customer base grow from just a few to over 250, 2,000 in large government agencies. And I've seen the enterprise architecture market grow, and we believe TOGAF 9 is a significant foundation for EA success. And let me sort of share with you our perspective on that. We did and support TOGAF with our TOGAF product provides an out-of-box support for the growing community of organizations who are adopting TOGAF as a basis for their enterprise architecture program. With TOGAF 9, the open group, we've seen a strong adoption of TOGAF approach, and the question we ask ourselves is, why is this? And we think there are really three fundamental reasons. Management demands that good, repeatable, and measurable processes be in place for any program because that's necessary for program success. Second, TOGAF is a robust framework for implementing enterprise architecture. TOGAF is particularly attractive as it's quite mature. Originally, the U.S. Department of Defense in the early 90s and now in its 9th version. It's really, in fact, globally supported with over 11,000 certified practitioners. TOGAF is descriptive in many ways, that it describes how things are done, but not prescribing a particular implementation. This large enterprise has the flexibility they demand to them to adopt their processes to the culture and organizational structure in place. Flexibility being a key aspect of implementing any large enterprise architecture program. Service is right, it's free under perpetual license from the open group. And as Chris noted, it's created and maintained by the community, and it's possible to actually participate actively in its evolution. And third, programs deliver real business success by leading the efforts to manage the current and future states of the IT and business portfolios. Additional to that success, you need a framework that will ensure EA practice excellence, and TOGAF is very well suited to provide that framework. Now, that's all good news. From our experience, we've seen some barriers to the adoption, and let me sort of share our perspective with you. The first one is we often see people, the tool of choice being, we call it EVP. It's Excel, Visio, and PowerPoint being tool of choice. And you'd go at the risk of spending way too much time building models. Those models, if you don't have a central repository to store those that can be accessed from all the stakeholders, you have difficulty embracing other parts of the business. Building visualizations and artifacts are difficult, and you need to be able to have reusable IP. Data you need is often difficult from other sources. You need to be able to provide value back to the people who provide you the data. And lastly, real-world transition planning is complex. There is a single idealized future state, but many alternatives and evolutionary transitions, not to say the fact that the current state is constantly changing underneath you. Entered what we think of as a perfect storm. A large number of enterprises are committed to TOGAF, and we in a solution that access for those commitments. So if you're a true customer, True for TOGAF is plug and play to your current implementation. If you're looking for a solution to equip your enterprise to be successful with TOGAF, we think we have an answer you'll find to be effective. Real quick to sort of touch on how we respond to the challenges and successful with TOGAF. Provide an out-of-the-box meta model and modeling templates that you can fire up almost overnight. We provide, of course, the repositories prescribed by TOGAF. We have all of the TOGAF artifacts, reports, visualizations out of the box. We have a rich set of data management tools I'll be sharing with you and showing you some of those. And we have a piece of technology we call Initiatives, which is innovative technology to help you manage future states. So we're going to focus on the ADM. True TOGAF, the project is focused on supporting ADM phases A, the vision phase through phase F, the migration planning phase, by these red circles. It works in conjunction with standards to deliver phases G, the implementation governance, and phase H, the architectural change management, denoted these green circles. In the I'll show you some aspects of this. But if you're familiar with this diagram, although I expect a lot of you are, we sometimes refer to this humorously, but in a caring way, as the crop circles. Now, with that as a background, let me move into a demo and show you a little bit of the product. Demonstration is oriented around the ADM, touching on each phase. Phase A, architectural vision, to phase G, architectural change management. I've changed ordering in a few cases, starting with phase C, application architecture, as you see here. But I think you'll see that we have complete coverage of the ADM, and as a guidepost as we proceed through the demonstration, that is the ADM. With you user experiences from both TrueArchitect, our Windows modeling solution that is fully integrated with our repository, Explorer, which is our web portal to the Metaverse repository. For ease prescribed by the ADM, for example, Vision, business architecture, data architecture, and etc., we provide purposed, secure, role-based visual modeling and web UIs that deliver a simplified view of the architecture, so that only those elements material to those roles in that phase are available, and prearranged layouts. That way, we've taken the descriptive nature of TOGAF and delivered a prescriptive implementation. This is the features we provide to simplify the data management challenge users have in dealing with large, complex architectures. Each facts can be assembled in solution architectures. And I'll in a moment, the set of data is fully compatible with our purposed applications that support application portfolio optimization and standards governance and business IT road mapping. It's working. Everything shown today is out of the box, but it's customer configurable if you have such a desire. For example, let's begin with application architecture phase C, the systems architectures. Here, we see application architecture. You're looking at TrueArchitect. That's our visual modeling solution. As I mentioned earlier, TrueArchitect is fully integrated with the Metaverse repository. And in the left panel, query can be used to access the repository content. In the main, you see the out-of-the-box purpose template for creating application architectures. These are the mechanism we use to deliver out-of-the-box purpose and simplified UIs for TrueArchitect that support each of the TOGAF phases. TrueArchitect is a state-of-the-art visual modeling solution that provides all the features you need to create and view an architecture. For example, objects can be scaled, laid out in specific formats, relationships can be selectively displayed, and colors and symbols can be configured. And I could go on and on about its capabilities. But to say, it's a robust modeling implementation, and together, true for TOGAF templates, it is a purposed, easy-to-use user interface. Now, in this example, we can create an application architecture using the pre-configured out-of-the-box template, purpose to support application architecture modeling, average information that already exists in the repository, possibly brought in through collection, for example, from a CMDB or some other model efforts. I can pull the application. I'm just going to pick one here, the DAV receivables application, already in the repository. And this is a basis to create a future state architecture. And in a moment, I'll show you how we support current and future state analysis leveraging the initiatives capability. I can expand the scope of the architecture of this application that is material to this phase and only material to this phase, and to begin to build a current state artifact. So, I asked to run against the Metaverse for everything that's related to data receivables, and I'll go out a single relationship level. All of the artifacts that exist in the repository that are related to that particular application. And the templates have built-in intelligence to arrange the architectural metadata in the prefigured locations, and then we can automatically lay out the architecture. So you can quickly, we've been able to create the current state, and at this point the user might want to modify this model to reflect the desired future state, and our initiatives feature store that future state back in the repository, the current state, purposes of side-by-side analysis. As I in a few minutes, we'll take a look at how we analyze current and future state architecture side by side. To go and make modifications or deletions, for example, to this, I'll get prompted about those changes. And model is back to the repository. These changes become part of the governance log kept in the repository journal. By the way, in this example, I built out the application architecture, leveraging data that already existed. Obviously, in many future state modeling scenarios, you have created new objects and relationships to define that architecture, possibly leveraging true archetypes, a pattern-based design facility that we have in True Architect. Now, to a new model. Because the repository is highly scalable, there may be a large number of application architectures defined, as in any large enterprise. So, for example, I can do and edit other architectures that have been created and stored in the repository. In this case, I can go and retrieve one of those. I'm going to go over here and grab an existing architecture and drag my palette, although I've got a prompt here that says I've lost connection. Back to that. Have to fail first, though. Show you some other templates we have. So that was a quick view of a TOGAF template that supported application modeling. That's part of Phase C, Information Systems Architecture. That was to give you a sense of the simplicity and power of the templates, but let me make sure we cover off on all the rest of the architectural domains. So for completeness, here is, let's walk around the ADM crop circles. And this we're looking at first template for Phase A, Vision, where we are modeling end goals and strategies and their related KPIs and success factors to establish the foundation for architectural initiative. And a quick aside, as I mentioned, we've got web interfaces for each of the ADM architectural domain phases. Those two are important. I'll be showing you those in a moment. Additionally, provide ability to model Phase B, the business architectures. We'll manage using a purpose template for that effort. And here we have a populated version of the receivables business architecture. And here are requirements, which are the ADM. And we also see relationships to business capabilities and organizations and processes and locations. It's obviously a rich modeling palette to help us capture the essence of a business architecture. Let me move into business capabilities. Abilities are a key business communication mechanism. And there's much literature and research that shows how these can be used in business alignment communications. We have even higher value business delivery mechanisms for business capability maps, which will see us consider the same information a little later in the demonstration. Basically, sometimes the complexity of a model is not the right business communication vehicle, and more concise representation is needed, as you will see. Moving on to ADM a little bit more, continuing to Phase C, once again, the Information Systems Architecture, supported by the application architecture template that we showed earlier, but also supported by the data architecture template shown here that allows us to capture, model, and analyze the information artifacts. So, for example, we see information groups and objects in the logical data model, and we see databases and schemas in the physical data model. Getting to ADM Phase D, technology architecture, we support this with a template shown here that allows us to capture, model, and analyze the technology portfolio and their related technology categories. So, for example, we see technology in our portfolio, such as instances of servers and software, and we see they fit in the technology catalog. Seeing more of these technology catalogs, which are basically TOGAF standards information bases, later demo when we consider Phase G, implementation governance. So now to Metaverse. As I said earlier, we provide role-based, secure, purposed, contained UIs, web UIs, to fit various ADM phases, and hence the ability for non-architect subject matter experts to review artifacts and update and approve information. The various ADM architectural phases, moving from left to right, vision, business architecture, etc., are enabled, and this section can be reviewed textually or graphically. A history tab that shows exactly what the journal of all changes are, and this can become part of the governance log described by TOGAF. These spaces are critical to involving more stakeholders in the process, and we have the ability to export this information to other stakeholders to review, and later we'll see we can even export this to Microsoft Office Suite. Probably important to note at this point, these web UIs are based on True's Composer technology, allowing customers to configure them readily to more tailor them to their organization's needs. And the reconfiguration exercise is simply a matter of choosing the objects that define the web UI. No program required. And of course, since they are role-based permissions can be set in place, you can control who has what access to what parts of the architecture. Strategic information could be limited to a finite set of roles. For example, all these tabs you see here might not be available to every user, and a subject matter expert, for example, might only see the data tab. Having a prescriptive approach to and analyze the data in each of the ADM phases is important, but what is most important is the ability to do artifacts that are TOGAF specified and to drive real business value. The impact report that shows the DAV receivable application, and I'll just scroll through this a little bit. Show how receivable application impacts the business. And as we go down, we'll see that in fact, this report gives rich context that describes how it impacts the business and affects not only applications, but also business functions and organizations. In a way, since this report is web-based, it's available to a wide range of stakeholders beyond the enterprise architecture team. D009 is an extensive set of artifacts, all of which True supports, and we've aligned those artifacts with business questions our customers have presented us with. The TOGAF artifact system function matrix is responsive to a business question that goes along this line. A consolidated view of my application alignment to my business capabilities. Applications support what business need, and it's the life cycle of those applications. You're looking here is a business capability map. And as you heard earlier, business capability maps are a fidelity communication vehicle when engaging with line of business. Fact was created using Adobe Flex and is available through our web interface. And it's worth pointing out a number of important visualization and navigation features of our rich website experience. Let me just touch on these. Of course, we have a legend as you see at the bottom. This actually gives us the ability to filter looking for specific information. So, for example, if I only want to see capabilities that are particularly expensive, I actually just eliminate those that are cheaper and only those that are particularly interesting to me by using filtering legends. Business capabilities are hierarchical in nature and collapse can greatly expand the business capability map. The ability to and expand and zoom across this. For example, if I want to show this in full screen and then able to, say, zoom out so that I can see more detail, I can use this pan facility to see more detail about what's going on here. And of course, I have the ability to always sort of fit it back to the screen as it is. And we have deep facilities for printing because many of our customers want to use this in hard copy, building what we call wall art. So we have a very rich multi-page printing capability. And if there's a particular interest in one of these, you have the ability to drill and understand exactly the life cycles of the applications that support this particular business capability. And we provide the ability to drill into this to see the list of applications, and the detail about those applications, such as their cost. The ability to zoom and drill is key to dealing with large-scale enterprises that may have thousands of applications. To the AIM. Phase E, opportunities and solutions. The key aspect of this phase is to have visibility of the ongoing projects and programs and how they relate to strategies and in-flight projects. The operation planning template is purpose assist in that effort, so that solutions are designed. As solutions are designed, they can be coordinated with other solution teams. With Phase E, opportunities and solutions. In this phase, we provide a pre-configured solution architecture model that brings together the architectures created in all the prior phases for solution analysis. Finally, it's possible to see how this all fits together. And here we have the architectures created in phases A through D in a composite architecture. So you see here the business, data, application, and technology architectures associated with the solution, and we can see how that relates to the transition model. And so, for example, if I need to, I can zoom into the business architecture model. I can add in detail the application architecture model, the technology and data architecture models, and how they relate to each other. This ability is available to the modern users, and we even support export to Microsoft Office Suite for communication to other stakeholders. Move phase F. The integration planning phase. In this phase, we pre-configured models to support transformational analysis. And then plans are realized, we provide transformational analysis in conjunction with true initiatives, which you see here. Our highly scalable future state architecture management facility. This deals with the fiendishly difficult problem of future state planning, which we have a number of evolutionary future states associated with a number of potentially alternative scenarios. And as you see here, our model in our efforts is comprised of a number of scenarios, time-frequent states that show how we evolve to the targeted future state. To manage a set of time-sequenced alternative future states is key to successful transformation planning. To transformational planning, transformational analysis template. We by-side analysis of the current state architecture shown on the left, and alternative future state architecture shown on the right in a side-by-side view. And we have the ability to analyze state differences and see changes in cost and value and risk. For example, if I pick the button to show state differences, automatically get highlighted all changes that go on in the future state. Having two side-by-side and future state analysis is key to planning and communicating migration plans. In addition, in the true standards, support the implementation governance phase, phase G, standard catalogs and portfolio analysis. And as you see here, we provide an out-of-the-box standards categories, much like the standards information base described in TOGAF, and we implement that information with out-of-the-box definitions for vendor support life cycles for most products. So you can see that in category relational databases, a subcategory of database management systems, we have the life cycle of Oracle 8i. And if we look closely, we'll see this is denied for internal use. Probably the vendor has obsoleted it. It was shown in the vendor life cycle. This is critical to enable project teams to select the right technologies for their solutions and to provide governance oversight for compliance. Or you can assess your current portfolio compliance to your published standards using Port Assessment Report. This report, as you see here, helps identify areas of risk and factor them into your transformational programs. It's probably worth mentioning that the current portfolio, as I've mentioned earlier, was probably collected automatically operational CMDB via true collection. And as we see here, we have a number of instances of Oracle in production portfolio that are in denied state. We need to address this in our refresh cycle. Lastly, in addition to the TOGAF ADM, we support actual change management with true standards, including project compliance assessment and waiver workflows. We see workflow requests for waivers relative to the project document management system update. We see a number of waiver requests. Some have been submitted, some approved, some withdrawn. Note the comment section, or the discussion section, help understand what's going on and what this can be used as a governance log as described by TOGAF. We project adherence landscape report. This is a governance report that shows the level of compliance, completed workflow waiver approvals for each project in the portfolio. In this case, we can see, for example, the Adams project, which in the financial management business capability is utilizing 6 technologies, 3 unapproved, and no waiver request has been approved for that non-standard technology. So that brings me full circle, if you would. At the end of the demo, let me drop back the presentation and see if we have time to wrap up with some questions. Rick, I want to share with you our perspective, the whole product perspective. True's a software vendor. Software is in our DNA, but we understand that our customer success is a result of the totality of that experience. So in conjunction with the software, we have a set of what we call know-how embodied in a set of methodologies we call True Accelerators that help our customers get started very fast in quick time boxes, 30, 60, 90 days. A very active customer community that we support through community.true.com, and we have a high level of participation there. And we have some best-of-breed partners on go-to-market. So we have out-of-the-box integration with HP's UCMDB and CA's Clarity product, and we also have integrations with modeling clients such as Sybase. We think that we need to be able to help you leverage all your other investments in planning ecosystem. And so this is our whole product view of what we provide our customers. And wrap up real quick, if you're a True customer, True for TOGAF is plug and play into your existing environment. If you're not a True customer, there's an opportunity to get a discount if you purchase by the end of the quarter. If you want to know more, I would encourage you to visit our website. We have a customer who's recently written a book about driving business value with enterprise architecture. It has a whole chapter on TOGAF. This is a book, both hard copy, but you have a chance to win a free copy if you'll come to our website and register. You'll probably very likely get a PDF of this. And of course, email if you have any questions offline. I really encourage you to contact me. At this stage, I'll just turn it back over to Simon and see if we have some time for some questions.
That's great, Bill. Many, many thanks both Bill and Chris there for the presentations and overview of the subject matter. Yeah, we just have one question at the moment, Bill, from Tim O'Neill. He's asking, this looks like a bespoke True model. How is this configured to support TOGAF 9 elements as per content meta model framework?
You're correct. That's actually True Semantics. That's our meta model. It's highly extensible, and we've done a semantic mapping between what we have and the meta model prescribed in TOGAF 9, and we think we have pretty good semantic consistency. We're probably going to be doing some extensions there as we proceed through the TOGAF 9 certification process. As Chris mentioned earlier, True's pretty active on the standing certification committee, and we're trying that work and fully intend to be certified TOGAF 9 compatible, and I expect that we'll probably have to make some extensions to our semantics meta model in order to achieve that.
Chris, no, I'm just looking through now, and it doesn't appear that we've got a question here from James Buckner. Is True available in non-Windows environment?
True comes in 2 pieces. a repository based on J2EE and accessible through the web. And we were that J2EE app will run on any platform. The modeling client that you saw, True Architect, today is only provided running on Windows.
We have a question from Jerry Tynan. How does this relate to Archimate? Will it use True instead of Archimate, or are they somehow complementary?
Our mission is for them to be complementary. At this point in time, we have to add compatibility into True. It's our direction to go that way, and as the Archimate sort of matures and integrates into TOGAF, you should expect us to track that and to be able to support it. I would say at this point we haven't made those investments, but directionally we're very committed to supporting the open group standards.
Okay, another question from Harshal Bahav. Can it be integrated to a project management tool for PMO planning?
Absolutely. We actually have a out-of-the-box integration with Computers Now CA's project portfolio product called Clarity. We've done field integrations with almost all of the project portfolio management products. Didn't really get into our architecture. We have a framework for field integration with almost any planning tool you might have, and integrating with project management tools is probably right at the top of the list along with CMDBs.
Next question, Bill, is probably in line with that. It's from Femi Ayan. What's the architecture of True for TOGAF? What technology is it written in?
To go back to that, the repository is a J2EE app, accessible through Windows Explorer. The model line that you saw me showing those on runs Windows. It's a C++ app, but it's a COM API, and you can use Visual Basic to do extensions and customizations there, and we have many customers who do that also.
Okay, Michael Ulrich asks, is Archimate notation supported at the moment?
At the moment. It's sort of my previous discussion. Directionally, we want to support that.
That's great. James Buckner asks, are government organizations using your EA tools?
Oh, sort of a layup. Yes, we 30% of our business comes from government. We actually have a purpose product. We call it eGov, built in compliance to the federal government mandates for enterprise architecture. But we have a number of other customers adopt that in states and even in some foreign countries because we support the federal enterprise architecture framework.
We've got a slightly aside question here from Ravi Haribal that maybe Chris should like to answer. He's asking about, as a beginner of TOGAF, where do you find materials which could help for certification? Chris?
I mean, you're talking about, the question is not about tool certification as a vendor, but about individual certification for D009 purposes. There are a few publications available from Van Haren publications, such as the TOGAF 9 study guide, both for the foundation and the broader components. The actual specification itself is available either off the internet for free or in book form from Van Haren as well. If you'd like to go to the Open Group's website and you look down the left-hand navigation bar, you'll also find points to the certification process. If you follow up with me on an email basis, Ravi, I'd be happy to give you more information or perhaps clearer information on that.
That's great, Chris. Thanks for that. Bill, some more questions coming in here. We've got another one from Animesh Ghosh. What sort of integration do you support with SOA governance tools?
We've done some field integrations with things like web methods and the Oracle product actually acquired from BEA, I believe. And those aren't as common, but once again our collector framework is really built out to allow us to do these field level integrations, And by the way, integration typically isn't a programming exercise, it's really a configuration exercise, and ensure that we define the mappings between the data we read from the SOA product to the meta model we'd instantiate inside of True.
Another here from Stefano Lotti. He's asking, is it possible to import models from other tools, UML and XML?
The answer is yes. We're more and more interest in integrating other models, and we've actually established some relationships with some of the model vendors so that we now have a developed out-of-the-box integration. For example, we now have an integration with the Sci-Base Power Designer tool, but we've field-level integrations with almost all of the popular suite of enterprise architecture tools and UML tools.
Here's from Richardson Akapoptiv. Do I have to rebuild all my models from scratch in True Tool if I already don't have matured enterprise models?
Well, the honest answer to that probably comes under the heading of not enough information given, but it's certainly possible to simply pull those tools in, the output of those tools into True, and take advantage of our analytics to produce the TOGAF artifacts. But we'd probably need to have a much longer conversation. But certainly, academically, it's possible to pull that information in without having to rebuild those models. Now, you may find that some models are incomplete and need to augment them, and you can either augment them in the native modeling environment or possibly even through just a web form on True.
Okay, next question from Michael Crump. Any considerations for enterprise continuum and repository tie into some of the source control or that node within the product? Also, are there ties into TFS?
Today, we don't integrate with another repository. We tend to think of ourselves as sort of a source of record, but we do extract from a number of other training repositories you'll find inside the enterprise, like the project management systems, so on and so forth. We obviously continue to invest in this area, and I expect you'll see us doing some more work in the area, particularly around the enterprise continuum. The second question was about, I'm sorry, can you remind me?
Sorry, also, are there ties into TFS?
I have to be honest and say that I'm not familiar with the acronym.
Perhaps Michael can be more specific on another question. We have a bit of a commercial question from MEIAN. He's asking, what is a typical enterprise license cost of True for TOGAF? Number of users and software install configuration time. You want to answer that directly, or it's up to you, Bill?
Probably, I'm the technology officer here. You know, I'm not the right guy to ask commercial questions. We would be glad to follow up with you. I will say that we now offer True as a software as a service on a monthly subscription rate. It's very attractively priced. So I'll have someone follow up with him, though.
Now, Bill. We've got a question here from Adam Jeffries. What are the true capabilities which your competitors such as IBM cannot offer?
Say that go on and on about this. I think there's a number of things that make us different. I think probably philosophically what makes us different more than anything else is we really start with the end in mind, trying to build a product to answer questions that will help people manage the business better. If you look at our collateral and our marketing messaging, it's really around trying to understand what business questions that drive business value so that enterprise architecture teams can be successful. You know, underneath that, we've got some very powerful technology. I would suggest that our repository is more scalable. I have customers who run hundreds of concurrent users today. I think that we're more configurable in a variety of ways that don't require customers to have to do programming. I think it's a much more modern architecture because we've made deep investments in J2EE, and I could go on and on, but I think the real difference between us is our focus, this sort of whole product thing I talked about, and how I want to make sure the enterprise architecture teams are successful.
Okay, well, let's come back with an explanation of that acronym. It's Microsoft Team Foundation Server. She was asking how does it tie into Microsoft Team Foundation Server?
I say, honestly, I'm not aware that we've done integrations with that product. But I said earlier, our collector framework gives us the ability to basically integrate with almost anything. I'm guessing that Microsoft Team Foundation Server, just from the term, is probably going to be an application lifecycle management product like the Rational Suite that we've done a number of integrations with. But until we would look at that deeper, I'd have to, withhold the judgment on how the integration would be done.
That's fine. Rokri asks, how does True manage change management?
Oh gosh, that's a fairly open question. I'll try to give you a really quick answer, a technical answer to that is, our repository metaverse actually not a single repository. It's actually repositories, and we call those states. And that's really what this True Initiatives thing's about. It'll give you the ability to model the current state, but all of the future states, to be able to do comparisons, as you sort of saw in the demo, between those. And so that's really our focus is to understand and help people manage that change management. In addition, we provide a number of artifacts that can be thought of as KPIs in terms of managing change. And these go the gamut of how technology portfolio evolving, how is my application portfolio evolving, how are skills I need to support the business evolving, and on and on. So I could go on and on about change management, and I'm not sure I really answered the question, but if you have more interest, I'd be glad to take it up offline.
Okay, thanks, Bill. An interesting question from Hakimundi Giwali, and I apologise if I'm not pronouncing the names correctly. I'm sure this is a question that would be interesting to many enterprise architects. He asks, how True TOGAF can be useful when two organisations are merging together, which is not in the same business?
That's a good question, because a very common use of True is to support merger and acquisition efforts. We do, I think, a really good job, and I'll have the bandwidth or the time to do now, of helping you manage a federated environment where making is distributed, but you want to look for commonality and opportunities to reduce costs in a merger. The portfolio management facilities we have, and when I use the term portfolio, I really don't mean project portfolio. I mean sort of the IT portfolio, the applications and technologies, et cetera, et cetera. Organized by own organization with a strong sense of stewardship of those portfolios, who owns what, and a fairly rich set of reports allow you to understand what the organizational divides are in terms of ownership.
Okay, we have a question here from Tony Zhang, and I think, Chris, this is a question for yourself. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about the TOGAF business in China. What's that marketplace looking like with regards to TOGAF, Chris?
Actually, I was on being a gardener on exactly that topic that lasted about 30 minutes. It's available through ZDNet. If you want to look that up and listen to it, it'll give you my opinion back then, which hasn't changed much. But I would say that China is an emerging market, and there's an enormous opportunity here for the kind of structural discipline that TOGAF can bring to enterprise relative to strategy, planning, and architecture. That's not just to the IT function, but to the broader business capabilities. I think that there's a maturity issue here. There are some world-class organizations in China that are doing just fine, but the broader market has yet to get its head around TOGAF, and that's part of my responsibility. I'd be happy to follow up on call on the detail of that perspective, but that's the nutshell of it.
That's Chris. Thanks for that. Well, it's 16:55, so I think we've got time just for a few more questions. We've got a question here from Syed. Bill, is there any case study sample available related to enterprise network architecture?
We've got several case studies available through our website, and some are actually on the community site, which is only available to customers. But if you go to our site, I think we'll be able to provide some stuff too. And if you don't know what you're looking for, maybe put a query in and we can help you some more.
Okay. Mark Sturmer asked, direct integration with Oracle Services Registry or Oracle Enterprise Repository, excuse me.
We can and have used the collector framework to do that. The short answer.
Okay. He asked, is that done through custom web methods you alluded to?
It's not done through web methods, but it is a field level configuration.
Richard asked, with regards to level of detail, how low can True tool go? I.e., you mentioned True supporting solutions, architecture, and CMDB, but go lower, say, into detailed design and possibly implementation levels, so you have a one-stop shop from a business requirement perspective.
If you look at the meta model, for example, we can go quite low, but we're not a implementation tool. So at some point, it's probably best to off the artifacts that come out of True to an ALM environment. But we can model at a particularly low level. But I would say that the granularity of what's modeled in True is more typically around understanding portfolios and future states and less on implementation detail.
That's good. I think, so for the last question, because we are now getting close to the top of the hour, from Tom S., adaptations for DODAF, D009.
Yes, we've actually worked with an agency in the U.S. federal government to adapt the existing out-of-the-box True meta model to support, I believe it's DODAF 2.0. I'm not a DODAF expert. I have an evil twin. We have a CTO who's actually dedicated to that federal business. If you want to follow up, we could share that experience with you and tell you who the customer is.
That's great. Let me just answer one question myself. This is from Bill Paul. He's asking about the archiving business view and enterprise architecture resource that you mentioned earlier, Bill. That's a link to that resource will be included in the follow-up emails that you'll get. So follow that URL and you'll be able to get to that resource that's been mentioned in the presentation. We're very close now to the top of the hour. I think at this moment we'll draw an end to the event. I'd just like to say once again thank you to Bill and Chris for a comprehensive presentation of this subject. I would like to remind you all that a full recording of this event will be available tomorrow. The URL where you can get to that recording will be included in the follow-up emails. So if you're happy, I'll end this event now and look forward to seeing you again in forthcoming events. Thank you very much.